Hello there. Today I'm taking a look at a wine from Ningxia in China. This is a Pinot Noir and this is Lanxuan's 2016 Pinot Noir. Lanxuan, relatively small, family-owned vineyard. Started in 2007 by somebody called Zhang Chunguangin. I hope I'm saying that correctly. The vineyard is right in the heart of the eastern Helan Mountains wine producing region in Ningxia. It's a relatively small estate, it's about 300 acres, so it's still a fair size. They're producing somewhere in the region of 30,000 bottles a year, which doesn't seem a lot for that, so perhaps it's not all planted. They're growing Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Chardonnay, they make a Rosé, and they have this, a Pinot Noir. Soils here are alluvial fan soils, so they're a mixture of chalk and clay mostly. Rainfall on average is about 200 millimeters a year, which is pretty standard for Ningxia, and in fact of course evaporation will exceed that amount of rainfall. So to grow grapes here you have to be irrigating, so irrigation water comes from the Yellow River to produce this fruit. This particular winery, although small and really only selling its wines fairly locally, has made quite a reputation for itself through entering wines in the Concours Mondial in Brussels, very independent wine competition, and they've won a number of gold medals, including one for this wine. Now I'm not sure whether it was this vintage, it might actually have been the 2013 vintage of this wine that won the gold medal, but nonetheless quite an achievement for a small rural winery in Ningxia. Details I have of this winery are very limited. I know, for instance, the average vine age is around 13 years, so that ties in with the fact that the vineyards would have been established from 2007 onwards. Being in Ningxia, I would assume all the fruit is hand-picked, that is the standard practice in this area, but much beyond that, the winemaking practices I know very little about. So let's see what we make of the wine anyway, and see if we can deduce anything from that. The colour for a Pinot Noir, I mean, it's actually quite a dark ruby red, but it's not particularly deep, I can see through it. It's almost hints of browning. I mean, it's a 2016, so it has a little bit of age on it. The aromas are confirming that sort of aged note. You've got sort of lifted plummy fruit. You've got the start of development. There are also cedary notes in there, so I'm assuming that this wine has probably spent quite a bit of time in barrel, possibly some new French oak. Cedary coming on to sort of chocolatey, maybe there are notes of a sort of a licoriciness at the core, but there's plenty going on there with, as I say, developed fruit notes, not quite getting towards a mushroom or a truffle note, but maybe just the start of those. So let's taste and see what we make of that. On the palate, that's a soft, warm, rounded, fairly rustic sort of style of fruit for Pinot Noir. And there is that sort of cedary note, the start of a sort of a slightly truffly development note. And there's a chocolatey, both texture and flavour coming in, I suspect, from time spent in oak. The tannins are smooth and they're being seen in that chocolatiness. The wine is medium bodied, maybe medium to full. It's got a nice roundness. It's 14% alcohol, I believe. The statistics I've seen actually say 13.8, but 14 is what it's labelled at. And that's adding a roundness with the sort of the richness that the chocolatey notes and the sort of ripe, plummy notes. There isn't delicate, fresh, clean, primary fruit there. This is not a light, delicate Pinot. It's got more of a sort of rustic developed style, but actually in that sort of guise it really does have some quality. The flavours are lasting really quite nicely. There's a development of flavours. Oak and the more developed notes are actually becoming well integrated. So 2016, I think the wine is probably just about at its optimum now. Probably keep for a couple of years quite happily, but I wouldn't think that much longer development would produce a lot more with it. But really pleasantly impressed with how well this wine is showing, and I can see why wine made in this style would win medals at international competitions. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. If you have enjoyed the video, do please press like, do share it with your friends. Do consider signing up and following us on YouTube. That would be fantastic. We'd also love to hear any comments you have about the wines, about the videos, or any other related matters. But most importantly, I hope you'll be able to find some time to watch another video tasting in the very near future. Goodbye for now.